Okay, now we're going to introduce a new term. We're going to introduce the term coterminal, all right? And when we talk about coterminal, what we're basically saying is that you have angles that are both in standard position that have the same terminal side, but they're different measures, right? They're different measures, but for all intents and purposes, they look the same, right? The only thing that's going to distinguish the difference to them is that those little lines that we mark that show like direction and also number of rotations, right? So there's two ways that angles can be coterminal. One is that just basically multiples of 360, right, of from the original angle in the same direction. And the other is to go the other way and kind of find like what sort of what like the I don't know if this is the correct term, but sort of like if you're talking about 360 degrees, like what's the um, what would the complement of 360 degrees be, right? And I know that's not the right word. Maybe it's reflex angle, but it's the difference between that angle and 360 degrees, right? So I apologize about my lack of terminology in that, but as most of you know, I don't teach geometry, so I'm a little weak in a couple areas, and this is one of them. So, but I do know that it's a multiple, right? We got multiples of 360, and then we got like differences of 360, and that's sort of how we can figure out what our coterminal angles are. So this first one, we got an example here. It says angles that are 60 degrees. All right, so this is my first angle is this one right here, right, with this, right? I'll get rid of this in a second. So this is my 60-degree angle. So that's angle one, right? And then your second angle is if you do 420, that means that you're taking this, right, and you're going the full rotation plus another 60 degrees. So you're doing this and you're going boom. So there's your 360, and then an additional 60 degrees plus 360 gives you 420. And then negative 300 is kind of what you get when you subtract 60 from 360. So it goes the other way. So it's basically, what do I have to do to make this into a full circle, right? What would the difference be? So it's relatively straightforward math. You may or may not need a calculator for these, but if you do, just do it. So this says find an angle with positive measure and an angle with a negative measure that are coterminal with each angle. All right, so the positive one for this one, this does not make a full rotation, right? So all I got to do for this one is just, for my positive angle, is just say, well, what's 130? And then let's do multiples of 360. So you just add 360 to it. So you go plus 360. So you get 0, 9, 4. So first one would be 490 degrees, would be my positive angle, right? And then my negative one that would work with this one is, you think about 130 degrees. That's gonna put me sort of over here. So what's this angle gonna be right here coming around? I'll draw it on its own thing. So if we've got, this right here going here, and then 130 puts us somewhere, over here, right? And this is your 130, right? Well, your other one is going to be, what's this, right? And so what's that? To be your coterminal angle would be just 360 minus 130, right? And you get 0, 3, and 2, and then you make it negative because it's going this direction. So negative 230 degrees. And so those are the two angles we need, right, that they asked for. Find these two angles. There they are. Um, and these are coterminal with that because they're basically they would look the same, right, except for the rotation markers on these. All right. And for this one, we're going to do the same thing, all right? So they're giving it to us in the negative direction, right? And so the negative direction means it's coming around, and it's going to be about here, right? Here's my initial side. Here's my terminal side. That's about 20 degrees right there, right? Here's my arrow, show the direction. So this would be my negative 200 degrees. So the easy one would be to find the positive one. So the positive one is just, what's this inside angle right here? And all you would have to do to find that is just go 360 minus, and then when we do these guys, kind of ignore the sign, right? The sign basically tells you direction. So just 360 minus 200 is going to give you 160, right? That's pretty simple math. We like that. So we have 160 degrees is one coterminal angle, and we can use that as our positive one. And then for our negative one, just think, well, if we do this, right, and this is 200 degrees, if we go another 360 degrees on top of that, so you have 200 plus 360, make another full rotation, and you get negative 560 degrees. Again, the negative sign is completely relative to the direction on these, all right? And not necessarily, I mean, the measure in relation to the direction, right? So we don't do anything different with the math other than just put it there to show the direction that this thing is going clockwise instead of counterclockwise. So there you go. That's what coterminal means. Good luck with these. Have some fun.